All right, another spark and another build. Titans, gather round. Today we're heading straight into the heart of the conflict, the mid-game. That pivotal moment where a match of tools and titans is truly won or lost.
We're talking about the turns from 3 to 6. The setup is done, the engines are running, and the board is about to explode with strategy and tension.
That's right. Welcome to Clash for the Center, Mastering Mid-Game Momentum. Today we're breaking down how the entire game shifts. We'll cover how to manage your forge, dominate the tasks, and of course, conquer the single most important piece of real estate on the board.
The center control zone. But before we dive that deep, let's reset the fundamentals, because every single action, every turn is built on this foundation.
So, for anyone new, how do you play a turn in Tools and Titans?
Easy. Draw your cards, charge your energy, build your field, act with your powers, clash with your titans, end your turn.
6 steps, 1 epic battle. That sequence is the engine of the game. In the mid-game, you're not just going through the motions, you're optimizing every single one of those steps to build momentum.
Exactly. Momentum is everything. It's the force that puts your opponent on the back foot, making them react to you instead of executing their own plan. And that momentum is built across 3 key pillars of the game board.
Let's start with the first pillar, the one in your own backyard. Your forge zone.
In the early turns, the forge is for setup, playing a simple tool, maybe a low-cost structure. But in the mid-game, it becomes your power plant. It's where your deck's true identity comes alive.
Give us an example. Let's talk about a defensive titan, like Masonics, the stonemason. What does his forge look like on turn 4?
Masonics wants to build a fortress, so his forge zone might have a structure card like the Bastion Wall. It's not just a blocker. It has a passive ability. At the start of your turn, add a durability token to it. The more tokens, the harder it is to destroy.
So he's building a permanent advantage. What about a titan with a different goal? Like Verdacia, the bioengineer.
Her strategy is sustainability, loops of energy and resources. Her forge might have a biorecycler structure. This introduces a core mechanic for her, composting. When one of her bio cards is destroyed, instead of going to the junkyard, it goes under the biorecycler.
And what does that do?
After 3 cards are composted, she can activate the recycler. She removes those cards from the game, but gets a massive surge of charge, and maybe gets to draw a card. She turns loss into fuel. Her forge powers her comeback potential.
So the first pillar of mid-game is establishing your engine at home, building your bastion wall, or firing up your biorecycler. But you can't just sit back and build. You have to contest the board.
And that brings us to the second and most critical pillar, the shared territory, the mythic high ground, the center control zone.
Let's break it down. Who uses this zone?
Both players. That's what makes it so dangerous and so important. It is shared territory. It's crucial for shrine-oriented titans, guild-based decks, and PvP mirror matches.
So it's a neutral battleground. What exactly is it? What do you play there?
Think of it as a hotspot for contested game elements. The most powerful are shrine cards, sacred structures that provide global buffs or even their own win conditions. You also see relics, global tasks, and dangerous environmental hazards.
When does it come into play?
It's a mid-game hotspot. It usually becomes active after turn 3. Once players have enough resources to actually fight over it, it sits right in the physical center of the board, connecting both players' zones.
And why does that matter so much?
Because it introduces global stakes. Many victory conditions are tied directly to it. For example, the Titan Celadon might play his Sunstone Shrine there. If he can control the zone and keep the shrine active for 3 turns, he just wins.
A win condition sitting out in the open. That sounds risky.
It is. That's the point. High risk, high reward. While Celadon is trying to protect his shrine, his opponent is throwing everything they have at it. An opponent playing a Rustborn Titan like Vault might not even try to destroy it. Instead, they'll play a hazard like a static field into the center zone.
What does that do?
It corrupts the zone. The static field might say, at the end of each turn, any card in this zone takes 1 damage, and its controller loses 1 charge. It turns the shrine from a path to victory into a liability, a resource drain. That's how the center zone creates tension.
So it's a zone of conflict, a victory gateway, and an interactive wildcard all at once. What are its core strengths and weaknesses for a player?
The strength is strategic leverage. Control the center, and you can shift the game's momentum instantly. The weakness is high exposure. Anything you place there can be targeted by your opponent. You're putting your best assets on the line. Control is also volatile. It's hard to maintain dominance for long.
So that's Pillar 2, the fight for the center. You have your engine running in the forge, you're contesting the middle. What's the third pillar of mid-game control?
The midfield task zones. These are the spaces between your forge and the center zone. This is where you play and complete task cards. Think of them like quests or objectives that grant you immediate rewards.
How does that differ from the global tasks in the center zone?
Global tasks are shared. They affect both players. Your personal tasks are your own. For example, you might play a task called Reinforce Defenses. The objective is play 2 structure cards this turn. If you do it, the reward is draw a card and gain 2 charge.
So it's a way to get immediate value. How does this play into mid-game momentum?
It creates a tempo advantage. While your opponent is spending their turn playing 1 big threat, you could be playing 2 smaller cards. You complete your task, get your resources back, and effectively get a free action. This is central to combo decks and titans like Drafter the Architect.
Drafter, his whole theme is planning and execution.
Exactly. Drafter's abilities let him play extra tasks or complete them with easier conditions. A good Drafter player can chain multiple tasks in 1 turn. They draw cards, generate charge, and build a massive board presence out of nowhere. It feels like they're taking 2 turns in 1.
So, the 3 pillars. 1. Build your engine in the forge. 2. Fight for the high ground in the center zone. 3. Gain tempo and value through your task zone. Mastering these 3 is mastering the mid-game.
But there's another layer to it, a resource that underpins everything you do, your charge pool.
The energy you use to play cards. In the early game, you're just trying to get enough to play your cards on curve. How does that change in the mid-game?
It becomes a strategic weapon. You start thinking about charge spiking. That means intentionally having a slow turn 4, saving up your charge, so that on turn 5 you can unleash a massive game-ending titan that costs 10 or more charge.
The opposite of that would be charge smoothing.
Right. That's for decks that want to be consistent. They use cards and abilities that generate a steady flow of charge every turn. They never have a huge spike, but they also never run out of gas. Some mechanics even reward aggression, like Reflective Charge, where dealing damage to an enemy titan gives you charge.
This all comes to a head in the rivalries. The mechanics and the lore are intertwined. Let's use a classic example you mentioned earlier. Valara versus Cheovolt.
A perfect case study for mid-game strategy. Valara is the tool titan electrician. Her goal is stability, control. Her mid-game strategy is to build a power grid structure in her forge zone. The more tools she connects to it, the more stable charge she generates each turn.
She's building a perfect, stable system. How does her Rustborn counterpart, Shivvolt, tear that down?
Shivvolt is chaos, unpredictable surges. She doesn't attack the power grid directly at first. That would be inefficient. Instead, he uses Scorch cards. These cards infect the opponent's deck and charge pool. A Scorch might say, next time your opponent generates charge, they take that much damage instead.
So she weaponizes her own strength. She turns her stable power grid into a self-destruct button.
That is the essence of the Rustborn. Philosophical corruption made real through mechanics. Volterra wants to control energy. Chivolt makes her lose control of it. The mid-game between them becomes a desperate balancing act for the Valara player. Do I keep using my engine and risk taking damage, or do I slow down and give Chivolt time to build his own threats?
So when you really boil it down, what is the mid-game about?
It's the mythic high ground of tools and titans, a place of sacred power, dangerous chaos, and unmatched strategic pressure. It's about forcing your will onto the board.
It reflects the very heart of competition.
One space, two wills, and a battlefield where destiny is forged.
In every match of tools and titans, your tradecraft unfolds in 6 simple moves.
Draw,
Charge,
building,
act,
clash.
end.
Simplicity for the novice,
Mastery for the titan,